الاستكشاف وإنتاج النفط والغاز في عام 2013 حوالي 10 مليارات دولار، موزعة بنسبة 72% في الاستثمارات الرأسمالية مثل الحفر وإنشاء المرافق الجديدة، ونسبة 28% في المصاريف التشغيلية. وقد بلغ مجموع الإنفاق في قطاع النفط حوالي 7.7 مليار دولار أمريكي، في حين بلغ مجموع الإنفاق في قطاع الغاز حوالي 2.3 مليار دولار. وإيمانا من الجميع بأهمية تنمية الكادر البشري العماني المؤهل، فقد بذلت جهودا ملموسة وموارد مالية كبيرة في تحقيق ذلك، حتى أصبح الكادر العماني حاضرا وبقوة في قطاعي النفط والغاز في مختلف التخصصات والمسؤوليات. وقد بلغت نسبة التعمين العمانية حيث وصلت نسبة التعمين إلى 94%، والشركة العمانية للغاز الطبيعي المسال انتهت عام 2012 عالمية وتحسين منتجة خارج أوبك، حيث بلغ متوسط سعر النفط الخام العماني عام 2013 حوالي 105.5 خطة الطريق على المدى البعيد، والتي ستسهم إسهاما مباشرا وفاعلا في دعم نسبة المساهمة المحلية، وتعالى أن يحفظ لنا هذا البلد وقائده وشعبه، وأن يديم علينا جميعا نعمة.
Oman Oil Refineries and Petroleum Industries Company, ORPIC, BP Oman, and CC. We began with 2013.
To share with the national and international media the enormous, unwavering support and guidance from His Excellency Dr. Mohammed bin Hamad al-Rumhi, Minister of Oil and Gas, and of course his MOG team throughout. As you've seen from the video, renowned and respected for the excellence of our people and the value we create for Oman and all our stakeholders. Excellence and value creation is part of our DNA. And it's beyond delivery of oil and gas. That's a given. Consistent with the board directives, which I'll take you through now, this is a tight gas, a multi-TCF accumulation at 5,000 meters depth. And we're really excited with the early results. Good hydraulic fracturing results with 5 wells in 2013. And we expect to reach a plateau in terms of a number of initiatives with our graduates, with our TOPS, a technicians harmonization program, our mature hires. We launched a number of initiatives, including a pioneering training and development for fields operations female engineers. And at the end of
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I too echo Raoul's words and thank His Excellencies for their support and for inviting us here to give you a brief overview about what Oman Oil does. Of course, Raoul raised the bar, so I'll try to keep up with the just briefly covering, I'm going to briefly go over what OOC is all about, some facts and figures and a future outlook, as well as brief coverage on company performance. Since we're talking about sustainability here today, I'm going to cover something on ICV as well as its contribution to GDP, and a bit on what we call as our human capital unit, which is now corporatized Takata for Oman, and very quickly about CSR. OOC was established back in '96 primarily to invest in energy and energy-related sectors, both locally and internationally. So we're diversified in terms of the energy chain from exploration, production, all the way down to retail. We also support foreign investment in Oman in a number of our projects. Our vision is very simple up there, but I'll quickly read it out. It's to be a significant part of a strong and integrated economy in Oman, diversified both across industry sectors and geographically, domestically and internationally, which makes optimal use of Oman's natural resources, workforce, and geostrategic location. Natural resources will be a common theme throughout this presentation, as well as the human capital. The mission is to invest in profitable and sustainable businesses which have a competitive Oman, and maximizing again value from Oman's resources and creating meaningful employment and fostering talent growth and business leadership in Oman. So the mandate can be summarized based on the mission, the vision and mission, is to develop profitable, globally sustainable and competitive businesses, maximizing the Oman's resources, as well as create meaningful employment in Oman and grow talent. And that was one of our key objectives today, as Raoul touched upon, is talent. Just quick facts and figures. Many may not have seen this before, but I'll give you just a very quick up. Our book value today is about 2 billion Riyal Omani. The net amount invested by the government, and that's post dividends and so on, is about 1.47 billion Riyal Omani. Our average return over the last 10 years on an annualized basis has been about 15%. The value of our projects executed in Oman to date is about 8.6 billion riyals, approximately $22 billion. Our returns from total cash returns, excluding capital gains and unrealized capital gains, in Oman is about $1 billion or 381 million riyals, and an equivalent amount from local investments. We've also conducted a study, an independent study by a world-renowned consultant, and we arrived at a GDP contribution of about 4%. The amount of jobs we have created, direct jobs, is about 8,000 jobs, 75% Omanization. Indirect, we estimate between 2 to 3 times that number. The 8,000 is actually almost 10,000 if you include our international recent acquisition, which has about 1,400 employees. Very briefly, just to tell you where we're heading, as I said, we're today about 15% return, as I said earlier on, and $22 billion of investments. So we've already identified, and I stress on the word identified, about $50 billion worth of projects to be potentially executed between now and 2020. Our GDP, we aim to increase the contribution to 10%. We intend to more than double the current direct employment. Currently, about 50% of the CEOs in the group are Omanis, and a similar percentage is probably across the senior management, and we intend to increase that to about 80%. Our strategy, what we have agreed upon in the recent period, is to focus on Oman. Oman is central to it, so we acquire technology to bring to Oman, and we develop projects that can be competitive against the markets that we target, and that's primarily Asia and so on. A recent example is an acquisition of in Duqm. That will be its first the next growth for that company. It's the #1 merchant supplier of oxo chemicals, and as well as #2 in the world producer. Give you a brief overview of what Oman Oil has done in Oman in terms of regional development. The ones in black are existing investments. Mus'ab will cover something on the refineries, as well as its future projects. We have 2 projects in Musandam under implementation, and several in Muscat, Sur with the fertilizer, and in Duqm, which is Oman Oil's primary focus the next several years. And there I'll touch upon those projects in a little bit. In Salalah, of course, we have the methanol plant, which we're expanding to include an ammonia complex. We have several E&P projects together with our partners, Rima, Mukhezna, Karim, and Abu Tabul, as well as Khazan, Makarim, across 7 sectors. In terms of the portfolio, 60% approximately is in Oman. The rest is spread out throughout another 10 or 11 countries. The sector-wise, we're about 40% on the upstream, and the rest is spread out across the shipping, and energy infrastructure, power, mining and metals, and so on. The GDP contribution, as I said early on, we approximately, on the group-wise, we have a total spend of $2.2 billion annually. with 8,000 jobs and 70% Omanization. That's as of 2012. 2013 numbers are still being collected. The spend is reflected there, so about $550 million roughly goes to salaries, and then we have some local purchases in condensate, natural gas, and other services. The employment numbers, as you see there, with the Omanization figures, has grown since 2010 by approximately 1,800. Coming to Duqm, which is the primary focus, as we talked about sustainable development. In Duqm, we have identified $15 billion worth of projects. Some I will touch upon here, and some others are still under development. I'm not going to talk too much about the Duqm, the CZAD, as I'm sure many of you already know about it. But primarily the Duqm refinery, which is a joint venture with the EPIC of Abu Dhabi. It's a 230,000 barrel oil refinery. We're targeting to commission by the end of 2018, and it will be primarily an export refinery. We have a terminal connected to the refinery, which we're managing on behalf of the port of Duqm, but it's a joint venture with the port as well. We also have a tank farm we're developing, which could hold up to 200 million barrels a day, which is probably the largest crude oil storage facility in the world. We're in the process of executing a gas pipeline to Markaz, 36-inch, as well as a crude pipeline to Markaz, and another coming back from Markaz to the refinery. Takamul also is developing, one of our subsidiaries is developing a centralized utilities that will handle steam, power, water on a centralized basis for all the industries that are coming up in Duqm. As I said earlier on, we focus on building human capital, growing local talent, identifying potential business leaders, and improving employee performance, as well as ensuring readiness for future projects. That is one of our key risks we face today, and I'm sure many would agree. We've recently signed to set up 2 centers of excellence, one with Petrofac, another with Schlumberger, and those will be up and coming very soon. ICV, again, I touched upon. We are working hard to support the ministry's efforts in that aspect. So we have an ICV unit within the Takatuf Oman company. We have so far on the CSR initiatives, we have several initiatives. I'm sure you probably heard of them. قدرات, My Job, My Oath, وظيفتي أمانة, Outward Bound Oman, as well as the Wafa Center. We're training the volunteers there. Over 500 Omanis have been trained to date under the CSR initiatives. We have the CEL program in OMIFCO and a few others. I think back in December, or just maybe even. But it was a proud moment for OOC and the group companies. Thank you for that.
I would like to invite Oxy's Vice President for Mukhayzana Operation, Robert Swain, to deliver his presentation.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today to give you a brief overview of Occidental of Oman. First, I'd like to personally thank Your Excellencies and all the dedicated men and women of the Ministry of Oil and Gas, whose collaborative efforts with us day in, day out drive and support our success at Occidental Oman. I'll be covering just a brief overview of our assets, some of the major projects, our social responsibility and training, and small and medium enterprise development programs. First, our assets in Oman. We've been here for a long time, over 30 years. We operate 4 blocks from the north to the south of the country. Our employees are over 83% Omani nationals. Our gross production is up to 230,000 barrels per day. This is a brief history of the growth in production of Oman and Oxy. starting with our blocks 9 and 27 in Oman North and adding in the Makaishna project, block 53 in 2005. You can see we've multiplied our production in all of our assets, and by 2015 we will produce, as of then, 1 billion barrels equivalent. This takes a lot of efforts by a lot of people, including drilling over 3,000 wells. Here's a performance summary for 2013 in particular. Just a few of our goals that we focus on in terms of production, our exploration, reserves, resources, and recruitment and training. We've had a very good year in 2013 and expect more to come this year as well. Focusing in on our assets just a bit more, Makaishna is a 2.2 billion barrel in place heavy oil reservoir. This is in the Harif sands formations. We started the project in 2005 and have increased production from under 10,000 barrels a day to over 120,000 barrels a day at present. Again, it's a combination of ramp up of steam flood and development of the reservoir, drilling over 2,000 wells. It's one of the largest thermal recovery projects in the region and in fact in the world. And we're building on that success in other reservoirs like the Kama carbonates, is shallower than the Harif, has another 500 million barrels in place. An exploration potential which will start this year drilling 2 wells in deeper carbonates. Looking at Block 9 in Oman North, this is a legacy asset that's been quite successful in terms of waterflood redevelopment as well as exploration. Another 2.4 billion barrels in place. We've got active seismic acquisition underway that will continue to add opportunities to this asset. Current production is almost 100,000 barrels equivalent per day. Right next door is Block 27. This is another asset that we've been very successful in exploration. Keep adding to this, and the additional seismic acquisition that we've done will got some definite large resources in this area. We'll be putting together a comprehensive field development plan for these resources this year. So just to go through a recap of some of the major projects in each of these blocks. Again, blocks 27 and 9 are big water flood redevelopment opportunities. Exploration plays a key role in adding the reserves to this, with primary production going on to water flood later in their lives. And facilities expansions to accommodate all development and steam flood there, management optimization. As of this year, we'll have most all of our main facility infrastructure in place, and really optimizing the reservoir management is the key to success in this reservoir going forward. Also, we've had very good results in the Kama reservoir to date, and we're aggressively developing that this year. And as I mentioned earlier, 2 deep exploration opportunities as well. In Block 62, we continue evaluating the non-associated gas areas, and we'll be combining our plans based on our exploration results into an integrated field development plan. Seismic is certainly a key part of this exploration success. We've been busy in acquisition efforts both in Block 27 and in regional 3D surveys. And those results are coming in as we speak and generating new opportunities. We've made over 20 oil and gas discoveries that have delivered over 120 million barrels of exploration resources over the past 3 years. Some of these discoveries are mentioned on the slide. Most importantly, the people that drive our success and really make things happen in the company are our people. We've been very fortunate to attract some of the best and brightest from throughout the company, or throughout the country, I should say. And given them means to have on-site training, hands-on technical training, scholarships, and other resources to build the workforce that we need going forward and support the increase in headcount as we've grown the company over the years. Our small and medium enterprise development program is just a small part of our focus on the in-country value initiative. This is Oxy reaching out to small companies that have a potential to grow in the country and support the success of the oil and gas industry here. We also have ICV initiatives really weaved throughout our planning processes, resourcing all things that we do in our business. That's really all I have. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
The CEO of ORPEC, Musab Al-Mahrouqi, is now invited on stage to deliver his speech.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here today to share with you the performance of ORPEC in 2013 and also the future projects. My presentation is in 4 areas. First, to just give you a quick overview of who we are, then we'll talk about the performance 2013, a bit more emphasis on the sustainability topic, and then finally the future projects of ORPEC. So basically, for the people who don't know our business, ORPEC operates 4 plants in 2 locations. We have Mina Al-Fahl refinery, which was built in 1982, and Suhar refinery, which was built in 2006, polypropylene plant in 2006, aromatics plant built in 2010. We process crude oil, naphtha, and condensate to produce fuels and petrochemicals. Our plants are highly integrated and interdependent. They use modern technology to produce premium-grade products. Our mission is to meet countries' needs of refined petroleum products and also maximize long-term returns by processing hydrocarbons, both oil and gas, to high-value petroleum and petrochemical products. And our vision is to build an integrated refining and petrochemical company that the country can be proud of. 2013, with over 1,600 employees, ORPEC's safety record continued to an exemplary level. 2013 saw just 1 LTI, lost time injury, to a contractor employee during the Suhar refinery turnaround, during which Suhar refinery had over 1,500 contractors working on the project. ORPEC's 3 other plants continued to build their safety sequences. Mina Al-Fahl refinery passed 3 years without an LTI, the aromatics and polypropylene plants 4 and 6 years respectively. In terms of lost time incident rate, LTIR, the companies performed at a credible level of 0.04 compared to European benchmark of 0.11. To support continuation of this record, ORPEC invested in over 10,000 hours training during 2013. In terms of processing, ORPEC processed around 56 million barrels of Oman's export blend during 2013, which is equivalent to 17% of total country's production, with the remainder exported. Mina Al-Fahl refinery witnessed a record level increase in its crude processing level at 36.4 million barrels over 2012's levels of 0.8 million. It's a record year for Mina Al-Fahl refinery. Whereas Suhar refinery levels came down from 27 million to 19 million as a result of the plant shutdown for over 2.5 months. Overall, processing was therefore reduced from 58.5 million in 2012 to 56 million in 2013. As a result, fuels production of LPG, gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel also declined compared to levels of 2012. Petrochemical production levels for 2013 over 2012 increased for paraxylene, 710,000 tons versus 700,000 tons last year or the year before. Benzene is 219,000 tons compared to 165,000 tons, but fell for polypropylene, 159,000 versus 219,000, which was impacted in terms of feedstock availability from Sohar refinery shutdown. In terms of operational performance for the 4 ORPIC facilities, Min al-Fahar refinery, as I said earlier, is a record level at 92% versus 80% the year before. Aromatics at 84% versus 78%. Both increased their capacity performance. With Sohar refinery 70% versus 90% the year before, and polypropylene plant 43 versus 59, operating at lower capacity levels than the previous year due to the planned shutdown of Sohar refinery for regular maintenance. It's a busy slide. Important to note in this slide, local demand versus production in 2011. SOx emissions fell to a level of 80% lower than 2012. Hazardous and non-hazardous. For 2014, carbon monoxide and particulates are ranged between 40 to 96% below Ministry of Environment limits, with SOx emissions 68% below the limit, and 100% compliance at least once in 2014. During the year, over 1,500 visitors were welcomed into Sohar Visitor Center, 50% above the projected target. Visits were organized Sohar. A 1.6 million riyal under development now by Jusur and will be run by Ministry of Health. Drug rehabilitation project will be constructed on a monthly basis throughout the year. See inside the organization. The 2013 report is currently being prepared and will be issued in by mid of 2014. Refinery improvement project, Muscat Sohar product pipeline project, and Liwa. Tanker traffic reduced by 70%. Muscat Sohar product pipeline project elements are scheduled to be completed in 2017. Polyethylene and linear low density polyethylene, along with greater polypropylene production, expected to be commissioned in 2018. Just some graphics on the increase of production over years. This shows the current petrochemical blocks that we have in production and the current petrochemical projects in Oman. You can see that we have 4 out of the 7 petrochemical blocks. That's methane, propylene, benzene, and xylene, as paraxylene. 3 of them are produced only by ORPIC, which is propylene, benzene, and xylene. In the future, upon completion of Sohar refinery improvement project and the Liwa plastic projects, we will have 6 out of the 7 building blocks of petrochemical industry. And therefore, we foresee many potential downstream projects as a result of this. The Liwa plastic projects will entail 6 components. First component will be natural gas liquids extraction in Fahoud and a dedicated pipeline from Fahoud to Sohar. And that will make around 35 or 40% of the feedstock required for steam cracker. The steam cracker will produce about 1 million tons of ethylene and propylene, of which we will construct the plant for the steam cracker and downstream industries in Sohar and by ORPIC. This map shows the locations of the new projects in Sohar Industrial Port adjacent to our current facilities. You can see Sohar Refinery, Aromatics, and polypropylene plant are part of ORPIC. So the production levels of plastics will increase. Plastics are higher value products by around 1 million tons. Will also enhance fuel production of gasoline in particular. Revenues also will increase. This graph shows the increase of revenues up to $15 billion in 2018. So therefore, 3 components for growth. Growth in capital investments. We will be investing around $7 billion in the next 5 years to build those projects. We will be processing around 70% additional crude, and we will be creating over 1,000 skilled jobs as a result of the projects. Thank you very much for listening.
May I now call upon Dave Campbell, General Manager of BP Oman, to give his presentation.
Assalamu alaikum. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here today to talk for BP Oman. I'm going to talk basically about 2013, which is a very significant year for BP in Oman and a significant year for Oman when we actually signed the deal for the Kazan development. So I'd like to thank Your Excellencies and the MOG team and our partners for working with us to actually get to this milestone. So our strategy and our mission is very clear. We now need to safely develop and deliver the Kazan development by the end of 2017 to deliver gas safely to Oman, whilst delivering value to Oman and to Omanis over the next 3 years. It sounds simple, but it will be a difficult challenge, and we'll need the help from the government, the MOG, and our partners and stakeholders to deliver it. My presentation today, I'm going to just talk about a bit of history of where we got to today, talk about the project, and then talk about the ICV and Omanization and sustainability that BP aim to bring to Oman and to help Oman. So many years ago in 2007, we set up a appraisal activity signed with the government in Oman, and we actually acquired safely over 2,800 kilometers squared of seismic data, which helped us understand the rocks, understand the resource. We drilled 11 wells to get some data, and we set up an extended well test facility in Block 61 that has been working until the end of last year and actually delivered a small amount of gas. 21 BCF was exported from that facility, but that facility was not aimed at production, that was aimed at learning. So we got lots of data from the extended well test facility to help us interpret the seismic, and that's been an invaluable facility to get the data, but also to get experience in safety and how we operate in the desert. So a few statistics, what we've achieved over the years. We've now driven over 17 million kilometers and actually achieved over 1,089 days without a severe vehicle accident. That's a few times to the moon and back, not as many as Raoul in PDO, but we know that's many kilometers driven. Our challenge now is, as we scale up for the project, is how do we actually learn, ensure we learn from what our experiences, learn from PDO and other operators in Oman and our partners to ensure that we can actually protect our staff and our contractors, and driving is probably one of the biggest risks we see every day, both in Muscat and also in the block. We just actually held 2 days ago a driving safety day in Muscat with some NGOs to actually help our staff to understand the risks and how we can protect, especially our children, being restrained in our vehicles. So we see driving as one of the big risks and the big things we need to mitigate, and we'll work with PDO and our other stakeholders and partners to understand and learn from that. We've also, in the gathering of the seismic and working on the extended well test facility, we've achieved over 4.5 years without we call it in BP a days away from work case. I think PDO and other producers, LTI. We've worked over 4.5 years since 2009 without a very severe incident. And again, like PDO and the other operators, we take safety very seriously. My mission is to actually, how do we scale and deliver the project in a safe way, both process safety and personal safety. And again, we will use partner learnings and learnings from the BP Corporation across the globe to ensure that we do that. Since the Grand Day on December the 16th, when we signed Kazan, we've been in action. We've been mobilizing the project. We've been actually making sure we get staff, contractors to the various locations, and we've awarded over $3.6 billion worth of contracts to date. So since December till the end of February, we've awarded $3.6 billion of contracts to help us deliver the Kazan development. One of the things that we need to continue to do is to deliver that at pace. And one of the things we're working with the supply chain team is ensuring that within in-country value, we're delivering some value back into Oman through the contracts and actually through how we deliver that. One thing we're also doing is, I said the early well test facility, that was shut down on December the 31st, and we're now in the process of decommissioning that. And again, my priority is to do that safely, and to decommission, degas, and deconstruct the facility, so we can then focus all of our energy and attentions with our partners on the Kazan development and the Kazan project. Omanization is something that's obviously very important to ourselves as well. Currently, our Omanization levels of staffing are around about 70% of the workforce, and it's one of my missions and one of my personal strategies is to actually how we increase quicker and actually make sure that the picture that Raul showed of his executive team, I'd like to see exactly the same picture in 2 or 3 years in BP Oman, exactly the same. At the moment, we don't have enough senior level Omanis in the organization, and my personal mission is to improve and increase that. So the Kazan project, everyone's heard about the Kazan project. It's a fantastic project. I feel privileged to be working with the partners and the government in Oman. It's a big project in BP. This is the second biggest gas project in BP's portfolio, second only to the Shah Deniz project in Azerbaijan. So this is very important to BP. It's very important to Oman. The project development over the next 3 years will deliver and drill around about 300 wells, and mostly horizontal wells. We will have around 8 rigs running constantly to deliver those wells. And over 15 years, we'll hit a peak when we start up the facility of about 1 BCF a day, and that plateau production will stay. At the time of we start up in 2017, we'll be producing about 1/3 of Oman's domestic gas production. And my ambition and my mission as well is to set up a business not only to 2017, I want to set up a business in Oman for BP for many decades to come, and we have resources in the ground to do that. The challenges, again, I think a lot of the producers have talked about some of the challenges of tight gas. This is a tight gas play, so we have many challenges on the technical side to deliver, basically understanding rates of decline, how we successfully stimulate and fracture the hard rock, the hard rock drilling, Raul's talked about that already, and scale of infrastructure. So we need now to scale up. We've had a very small operation. At the peak, we'll have over 5,000 to 7,000 people in the desert, in the Block 61, building this development. So again, how do we make sure the safety of those people, the contractors, on a day-to-day basis? That's something that's very important to me and the team to make sure we do that safely. We're going to we have an extensive knowledge in BP in North America of tight gas production. So in North America, we've been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years. So again, we're using that expertise in BP to actually crack some of the technical problems. And again, working with stakeholders and partners here, we need to learn and listen in BP to ensure that we can address some of these problems and overcome some of these problems. In-country value. So in-country value, Raul talked about the people. This is the same within BP. We have many programs for younger Omanis, be it technicians, be it challengers or scholars. We have many programs within BP. BP set up 2 years ago, or 1 year ago, sorry, in Muscat. We actually have our own training facility where we take kids from school and actually take them into that college or training centre to develop them to be technicians, instrument and electrical technicians, mechanical technicians, and process technicians. We will develop around 200 Omanis to do that program. At the moment, we have 54 technicians in the program. We're advertising for another 24 technicians this year, and we've had over 700 applications for those 24 places. So demand for the places is high, and it's a 3-year development program. We've just sent our first 5 graduate technicians after their 2-year training in school or in the training center over to North America Gas in Colorado in the United States of America, where they'll actually get some experience in a tight gas operation within BP to actually enhance their learning, and then they'll come back to Oman, to Muscat, to finish the program. They'll graduate, and then they'll be the first wave of technicians that will commission, develop, and operate the Kazan development within BP. We also have many other programs that for graduates and for challengers within BP globally, and it's something that we do, again, take development seriously within BP. So also, as we're developing the development in the field, we have many, many contractors, and we have programs just started to work again with small and medium enterprises in the local environment to actually develop the skills of the contractors and the SMEs and actually develop jobs, and again, do it in a sustainable way. That's my goal, is to do this sustainably and not just as a one-off and a tick box. Again, social investment in the area of Block 61 is something that we're putting a lot of effort into around education and enterprise development. So again, working with the local community and to get social investment funds into the community to actually deliver programs. And we also have partnerships with Sultan Qaboos University here in Muscat, and also do some various vocational and environmental education programs here in Muscat and also in the locale. So that's my presentation for today. Thank you for listening to me, and I'm happy to take any questions during the Q&A. Thank you.
Finally, I would like to invite the Chief Executive Officer of CCED, Sheikh I'tibar, to deliver the final presentation of the day.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, who is merciful and kind. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Firstly, I would like to take this opportunity to express our many thanks and appreciation to His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Al-Rumi and the MOG team for providing this forum in order for us to be able to introduce our company to the media and also to you. CCED stands for Consolidated Contractors Energy Development. It is a Lebanese oil and gas company with a branch in Sultanate of Oman. In Block 3 and 4, we are partners with Tethys Oil and Mitsui Exploration and Production in Block 4, and CCED entered the Oman oil and gas arena in 2008. In 2008, we set an office in Oman. In 2009, we started drilling exploration wells. We drilled actually 2 exploration wells right in the area where another 8 major oil companies before us had drilled 25 years in the past 40 years without any success, and they left the block. We drilled these 2 exploration wells right in the middle where the others drilled of structure. This doesn't. You can see the drilling success of the CCED is amazing. We drilled 75% of our exploration were successful. We drilled 21 successful out of the 24 wells, appraisal wells in one of our reservoirs. We drilled 47 wells. Out of the 47 wells, there's 100% success in the Barak Reservoir. We drilled 23 out of 23 wells as a success in the Lower Al-Bashir. The only reservoir that we had, it was 5 out of 9, is the Khufai Reservoir, which CCED basically discovered the reservoir for the first time in Oman. We also have new discoveries. We have drilled 7 out of 7 successful. Our production basically started in 2010, and then it kept increasing. And today, we are producing over 23,000 barrels a day. We came from nothing basically in 2009 to 23,000 barrels a day, which is a a great success for a small company like us. In our exploration, as you saw, we basically have 2,800 square kilometers of 3D seismic, 850 linear kilometers of 2D seismics, and we run seismics and exploration area both in the east and the west. And we also exchange information with our neighbors in order to set up our exploration strategy. We have installed 2 permanent facilities in Block 3 and Block 4 with a capability of 15 and 7,500 barrels a day. We have 120 kilometers of pipeline which transport our oil into the PDO's facilities. We have demonstrated that we can improve our installation. First, when we started in 2010, it took us about 25 weeks to put the first early production facility. Today, we install the facilities in 2 weeks. And from the time that we explore a well till the rig moves out, within 2 days, we bring the well on production. We do this basically, there's a difference between what we do, what normally is done in the oil industry. Normally, you explore, you appraise, you develop, and you produce. We do this simultaneously. And that is not an easy job to do. You have to be planning, and then also you have to be able to change courses as it needed. We have, one of the reasons some of the other companies that made discovery and they left was because there are reservoirs here that we call, they're a tight reservoir we call semi-unconventional, and the reservoirs require hydraulic fracturing and other measures to be able to bring them on stream. We have a pilot project on this project, which basically a successful result of this project is going to improve the reserves and the daily production significantly, and we probably have to drill more than 300 wells to recover these reserves. On a HSE basis, we are in par, in line with the other people in the regions. One of the examples is that we drove 44 million kilometers in a 22-month period and delivered 3.2 million barrels of oil with one lost time incident. We also have improved our lost time incidents by 34% from 2012 to 2013. Safety is very important to us. We have one of the things that are just like the other operators, we are concerned, and it's a high risk, it's driving. We have in place programs basically to reduce this, and we can see the behavioral changes in our people in driving. We started in Oman, basically, as I said, in 2008. And at the beginning of 2010, we were only 15 people. Today, we're a team of 420, and the Omanization is 70%. You can see that the number of expat percentage reduces, and the Omanis are increasing. On the ICV activities, we are trying to give the jobs to the local people as much as possible, if they're capable to do that job. If they're not capable, we give them a smaller job, and we mentor them. So far, we have hired 110 employees from the local community. We have trained 20 of them. We train them both in technical and non-technical jobs. And in addition, with the Ministry of Manpower, we are just the moment we are training another 15 people. Basically, this is the way we did it. It might be unconventional, it might be out of the box, but that's how we did it. And it demonstrates that still there is a lot of oil in Oman to be discovered. So with this, I would like to say that we're here to stay for a long time in Oman, and we thank and we're grateful to His Majesty and His Excellency Dr. Rumi and the MOG people that they have given us the opportunity to be part of this arena. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for listening to the presentations. We will now open the floor to the Q&A session. May I ask members of the panel to take their place on stage?
Question as Minister for Oil and Gas, do you personally take responsibility for all the corruption that's taken? Because some of them if actually happen right in your page? Thank you.
Thank you, Saleh. Is this on? No? It's not on?
It's on. The microphones are on.
One of those corrupted microphones. Maybe. Saleh, thank you for. It is on, huh? Okay.
Just bring it closer.
Okay. Maybe my voice is corrupted. We are all disappointed with the turn of events in terms of corruption. But measures were in place a long time ago. I think the practices in our industry are well regulated, well governed. Behavior of individual is not. In cases of corruption, by the way, it happens everywhere in the world. It's not just here, both in the West, East, North, and South. I don't think there's much else we can do for the future. To answer your question, I don't have anything in that we need to place to eradicate corruption to a zero level. It did happen. It will happen again. It has happened before. And I don't think there's a lot we can do. However, let me tell you what the system in Oman is. We have the state auditors who audits all of us here in all government-related entities, governments and companies owned by the government. And we requested, I personally requested the state auditors before the year 2000 to audit, among others, PDO and all our companies. And as a matter of fact, I can't remember when, but maybe you can help me, but they opened an office. They have a permanent presence inside PDO since the year, I think 2000, if I'm right, or thereabout. But for more than 10 years, state auditors have been auditing every activity that they feel needs to be audited. And they issue reports to us, to the shareholders. We discuss their findings in the boards. So the practices have been audited, and they have been regulated, and they have been they're sort of inspected on a regular basis. This is all we can do. What do individuals do in their homes and outside the companies or inside the companies is really beyond us. Short of placing microphones and having video cameras that follows them everywhere they go, which we will not do it, and we have no intention of starting that. I don't think there's anything else we can do, to be honest with you. Do I take responsibilities? Perhaps I do, but I don't think in the context of your question, I assume you think that I am part to blame for this. I don't take that responsibilities. Do I take responsibility? Do I feel bad that the industry is implicated in this? Of course, we all do, not just myself, all of us. But as I said, I requested the state auditors more than 15 years ago, or more than 10 years ago, to audit all our entities in the oil and gas industries. And they have been doing a fantastic job. So there is nothing much I can say on these subjects. I don't know if any one of you wants to add anything else.
I'd like to echo His Excellency's comments, and it's, I mean, the starting point is that we're incredibly saddened, shocked, angry about these developments, which represent a very, very small number of people, but one is one too many. We have fantastic systems in place. After this session, you're all welcome to come to PDO and see our anti-bribery and corruption policies in English and Arabic, blow-the-whistle policies, conflict of interest, rigor. I don't think it will be a system introducing more controls. I think it will be an emphasis on focusing on the right values and recognizing that it's so much to be proud, and many, many people in PDO day in, day out give their best, and a few we'll learn from. I would focus on, rather the downward circles about what is happening, I would focus on the radiating possibilities. His Majesty is driving a rigorous analysis of corruption which is endemic across the region and in many other parts of the world. The EU Commission recently issued a corruption report which was pretty damning for many countries. Here you have His Majesty and an institution and government authorities that are following through on not the systems, which are very, very strong, on consequence management. And I think that will drive more change than any additional controls that we may want to issue, cameras, CCTVs, or other systems in place. We're proud of the way we manage our business. Clearly, there's a few people that don't follow those values. But I think the consequence that is taking place will drive dramatic change, and Oman will become a model for many to emulate.
Any more comments? We'll take another question. تفضل. كنت توقف لو سمحت.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام.
ماجد العبري من الهيئة العامة لسوق المال، مجلة سوق المال. السؤال المطروح: ما هي الإجراءات الرقابية التي يتخذها قطاع النفط والغاز مثلا وزارة النفط والغاز لتشديد الرقابة على الشركات؟ السؤال الثاني: كنت أتمنى يعني أن شاهدنا نسب تعميم موجودة في الشركات، وكنت أتمنى أن تكون هناك تكلفة التعميم بالنسبة للعمالة الوافدة مقارنة بالعمالة المحلية. كذلك بالنسبة لشركة النفط العمانية، هناك مشروع سيقام المقرر افتتاحه في عام 2018، مشروع المصفاة، هو بشراكة النفط العمانية مع شركة أجنبية. يعني لماذا لا يكون هناك نصيب، بدل أن تكون هناك شركة أجنبية هناك نصيب لصناديق التقاعد مثلا في هذه الشراكة. وأعتقد أن اتباع هذا المنهج هو تحقيق للاستراتيجية التي تتبناها وزارة النفط والغاز، استراتيجية القيمة المحلية المضافة للقطاع. سؤال آخر يتعلق ب
سؤال أخير لو سمحت، لأنه
بالنسبة لاكتشافات الآبار النفط أو تنقيب آبار النفط في البحار، ما هو الجديد في هذا المجال؟ شكرا جزيلا.
Total of 4 questions. One on the state audit, second on Omanization, and one for all Oman Oil Company, and the fourth on optimization again. So who would like to take the first 2 questions?
أعتقد بالنسبة للسؤال الأول معالي وراؤول أجابوا على السؤال هذا واستفاضوا في هذا الموضوع. يعني الإضافة الوحيدة اللي ممكن إني أنا أضيفها هو التركيز على مبدأ العقوبات، يعني consequence management باللغة الإنجليزية. في غياب العقوبات طبعا أشياء كثيرة ممكن تصير، ولكن اللي صاير الحين صراحة حاجة تثلج الصدر، إن على الأقل الحالات هذه بدأت تظهر والإجراءات القانونية تتخذ مجراها، وهذا أهم شيء في الموضوع. بالنسبة لنسب التأمين طبعا ذكرت تتراوح ما بين 90، يعتمد على حجم الشركة وعدد الموظفين اللي موجودين في الشركة. شركة تنمية نفط عمان 79% من العمانيين. كلفة يعني ما في رقم معين ممكن أعطيك إياه أقول لك والله الوافد يكلفنا 1000 والعماني يكلف 800 أو 900، لأنه في أشياء تضاف في تكلفة الوافد غير موجودة مع العماني، كمثلا بعض الشركات تعطي تأمين صحي، المدارس اللي يجب أن نحن نوفرها للوافد بحكم أنه ترك بلده ويجي إلى سلطنة عمان، التذاكر اللي تأخذ الوافد من السلطنة إلى البلد في الإجازات، كل هذه التكاليف غير موجودة. فبالتالي لو قارنتنا الرقمين هذول بتكون مقارنة غير عادلة، والأرقام أصلا ما موجودة عندي حتى لو حبيت أقارن، ولكن المقارنة غير عادلة. فأفضل أن ما ندخل في نقاش وجدال بأرقام أصلا يعني مش متشابهة. بالنسبة للاستكشاف في المناطق البحرية، طبعا 3 مناطق اللي ذكرتهم في العرض المرئي كلها مناطق بحرية. طبعا منطقتين بحريات. المنطقة اللي مع توتال شمال منطقة صحار، عملية الاستكشاف راح تبتدي السنة هذه إن شاء الله. عملية تحليل البيانات في السنة الأولى، وطبعا متبوعة إذا كانت مبشرة بالخير بعملية مسح جيولوجي زائد حفر آبار استكشافية. المنطقة الثانية طبعا العمل فيها جاري، غرب مصيرة المنطقة هذيك، وطبعا الحفرة الثانية تم حفرها، نتائج مبشرة في الوقت الحالي، ولكن لا تزال حفر استكشافية. صعب ان نحن من حفرة واحدة نقول ان اكتشفنا مخزون فبالتالي عملية الإنتاج راح تبتدي. ما زال عملية الاستكشاف طبعا مستمرة، ننتظر أن الشركة تنتهي من عملية الاستكشاف وتحليل البيانات، ومن ثم إعلان الجدوى الاقتصادية قبل ما نطرح أي أرقام في السوق. بالنسبة لمصفاة صحار،
لا أظني أو سي هو
شركة النفط العمانية بالنسبة للشراكة من شركة أجنبية.
أو سي
الشراكة مع شركة ايبك مملوكة لحكومة أبو ظبي، ولكن أنا ما بعلق على موضوع المصفاة بالذات، لكن شركة النفط العمانية حاليا بنعمل دراسة شاملة لكل مشاريعنا وكيف نقدر نطرح بعضها على السوق المال أو مستثمرين سواء صناديق التقاعد وغيرهم. لكن بالذات هذا المشروع ما أقدر أعلق عليه لأنه في دراسة كاملة بتغطي كل المشاريع. والله الحين من قريب قريب نسند الدراسة الاستشاري، بعدين بتعرض طبعا على مجلس الإدارة ومن ثم المساهمة الحكومة، فيعتمد على التوجه. بعدين السوق ترى ما أي وقت تطرح شركة أنت يعني تشوف السوق فيها شركات أخرى بتطرح مستثمرين آخرين، فيعتمد على التوقيت كمان.
تفضل، في سؤال هنا كان.
صباح الخير، نجلاء عبد العال من جريدة الرؤية. سؤالي الأول حوالين النفط الصخري، على اعتبار أنه هو ذكروا سعادة العوفي على أنه أحد أسباب انخفاض أسعار النفط عالميا، فلم نجد كثيرا حديث حول التوجه إلى هذا، وهل هو توجه استراتيجي، وهل يكلف الشركات الجديدة اللي بتأخذ مناطق استكشاف أو امتياز التركيز على هذا المنتج؟ والسؤال الثاني حوالين الفجوة ما بين الإنتاج أو النقص التدريجي في الإنتاج اللي هيتقابل في 2017 حسب البيانات الأخيرة، فهل في استعدادات لمواجهة هذا العجز في استراتيجية طويلة الأمد مثلا 2040؟ شكرا.
عجز في النفط أو في الغاز؟
في النفط. في النفط والغاز. الغاز كان النسبة أكبر، لكن كان في سعادتك قلت إن في فجوة هتقابل السلطنة في 2017 وما بعدها، وللآن لم نوضح الصورة. شكرا.
يعني بالنسبة للنفط الصخري أنا ذكرت طبعا واحد من الأسباب اللي أثرت على سعر النفط العالمي هو الاكتشافات الكبيرة بالنسبة للنفط الصخري في الولايات المتحدة، وطبعا تقليل الاستيراد بالنسبة للولايات المتحدة. نفس الشيء ذكرت في أكثر من محفل إن إنتاج السلطنة يذهب إلى السوق الآسيوية وليس إلى السوق الأمريكية، فطبعا احنا إنتاجنا غير متأثر، السوق اللي يتوجه له إنتاج السلطنة مختلف. طبعا الزيادة في الإنتاج في الولايات المتحدة كانت نفس الشيء متبوعة بمشاكل ثانية خارج الولايات المتحدة نفسها، ربما غطت على الانخفاض في الأسعار، فكان متوسط السعر خلال عام 2013 حوالي 105 دولارات، ولا يزال الرقم هذا تقريبا ثابت في خلال الأشهر الثلاثة من عام 2014. هل في المستقبل راح نشوف تأثير جدي على سعر النفط بزيادة الإنتاج الصخري في الولايات المتحدة؟ دخول العراق إلى السوق بشكل كبير، دخول إيران إلى السوق بشكل، كل هذه سيناريوهات وتوقعات يعني ممكن نبني عليها أرقام، ولكن صعب اليوم أن أي واحد يتوقع بسعر النفط بكرة إيش ممكن يصير، لأنه اللي ما معلوم هو كمية الطلب في نفس الوقت على النفط. فأنا ممكن أعطيك أي رقم، لكن متأكد من حاجة واحدة، الرقم اللي أعطيك إياه راح يكون غلط، وأي واحد يعطيك رقم راح يكون غلط. توجه السلطنة بالنسبة للإنتاج الصخري أعتقد راؤول ذكر في البرزنتيشن ماله إنه في اكتشافات أولية بالنسبة للنفط الصخري، وطبعا الغاز الصخري في نفس الوقت تحتاج إلى تكنولوجيا حديثة من ناحية التصديع، الحفر والتصديع، وطبعا المعالجة السطحية، كلها موجودة، ما إنها ما موجودة، ولكن يجب استقطابها ويجب التعامل معها بشكل صحيح. الإمكانيات أو الاحتياطيات الموجودة توقعات أولية، صعب إني أعطيك أرقام لأن لسه ما زالت في عملية الاستكشاف، فلحد ما على الأقل نعرف بالضبط إيش اللي موجود وفي أي منطقة موجود، وطبعا أول ما نعرف إن شاء الله أنتم أول ناس راح تعرفوا النتيجة هذه. إنتاج السلطنة مثل ما ذكر، طبعا استراتيجية الحكومة ووزارة النفط هو البقاء على إنتاج ثابت خلال ال10 سنوات القادمة. متوسط الإنتاج في الوقت الحالي حوالي 950 ألف برميل، 940-950 ألف برميل. استراتيجية الحكومة هو البقاء على هذا الرقم خلال ال10 سنوات القادمة. طبعا الزيادة في الاحتياطي تقابلها عادة زيادة في الإنتاج، ونتأمل إن شاء الله أن يكون في زيادة في الإنتاج. طبعا كلام كثير بخصوص المليون أو غير المليون، استراتيجيتنا هو البقاء على خط إنتاج ثابت، وإذا استطعنا أن نوصل للمليون خير وبركة.
تفضل.
بسم الله. أحمد الخروصي, social media. I'll start by stating few challenges, then I'll direct my question to the Ministry of Oil and Gas, and then primarily video on Oxy.
Can you just limit your questions to 2 so that we give opportunity, please? Everybody limit your questions to 2, please.
First of all, His Excellency Salim Al-Aufi just mentioned that the government intention is to keep the production constant for the next 10 years, around 950. But did that take in consideration the difficulty of basically producing that remaining oil, because most of the fields in Oman are almost brown fields. You're using enhanced oil recovery methods in producing, and this also increases the cost per barrel. Basically, we have also increase in domestic consumption, and you need also EOR consumption of gas and oil to produce. You mentioned also the global situation, and neighbors like Iraq and Iran started producing, affecting basically the oil prices. And we have in the budget, 2014 budget, the oil prices are, with the deficit is around 104. So what is the government strategy to hedge these risks and mitigate the risks basically in the short and medium long term? The second question is, with all these questions, with our challenges basically, is this going to change the way BDO and Oxy mainly doing the business? and specifically the contracting strategy.
I'm a bit confused. Hedging is a monetary policy. I assume you're talking about how can we hedge the price risk. And the hedging of crude oil prices is not a normal practice in Oman. The Ministry of Finance has not been exercising this option in the past, and I cannot speak on their behalf, but I feel that they have no intention of hedging against the crude oil price in the future. But really, this is not the right place to discuss, and I'm not the right person to discuss the hedging policies, if any. As far as I know, there is no intention or strategy of hedging against decline in oil price. As far as contractual contract strategy, this is a very dynamic issue. I can speak on behalf of both companies that you have mentioned, Oxy and PDO. Changes in contracting strategies in an ongoing, and whenever we learn new lessons on existing contract, the next contract goes through the motion of reviews and suggestions, and we do change contracting strategies. And if you look at the recent past, you will see many of our contracts, drilling contracts, EPC contracts, they go through different changes, and the reason is actually we identify failures or areas of improvement. So that will happen, I can promise you that, but I cannot be specific unless Raul wants to add something that on contracting strategies.
No, I echo everything you said, Your Excellency. And some contracts go to the EP and others EPC, and what you'll find is that the key changes in contracting strategy in PDO is to drive local community companies, super LCC support, and local supply chains. That's probably the biggest change in driving our business, which is all about supporting the communities, recognize that we will not succeed unless they do. In terms of the oil developments, the reality is that our fields in Oman are more difficult than our neighbors, but they remain very, very profitable, very attractive. And yes, we need more resources, more EOR, more complex technology. But as I highlighted in my presentation, today we use 40% less gas than we used 5 years ago. And you will continue to see that element of demand management in everything we do, whether it's solar plants, whether additional reed beds, or other technologies. So we are confident that on the conventional plays, we can be the country is very, very prospective. The opportunity remains very significant. And even if you were to experience an oil price collapse, and oil producers don't hedge production, but even if you were to experience that, all our projects would withstand much, much lower oil prices. They're very, very attractive, very economic. Are they more expensive than our neighbors? Yes, they are. Enhanced oil recovery is more resource intensive, more technology, but that's still a very, very profitable, sustainable, long-term business. We are increasingly confident of that delivery. So both in demand management and in ultimate recovery, we can see the numbers improve going forward.
There's a question there, on your right.
I'm Natalie Martin, Oil and Gas Journal from Houston. I'd like to go back on the human resources question. There is right now a big concern in the industry concerning the gap there is between the expertise needed on the field and the curricula that the faculties are given. I heard a lot from both the private sector and the government talking about immunization, talking about training. What I would like to know is what is your collaboration, or how do you contact universities or the education system here to make sure that the curriculas that you have today will answer tomorrow needs? And for the private sector, I would like to know, what is your responsibility on this, for this gap not to exist?
Who are you asking? Anyone?
I want from you to know. I want to know what do you do with the Ministry of Education, if there is anything planned, and then the rest.
Thank you. There's an ongoing study that Sultan Qaboos universities have been asked to look at mismatch between what they are teaching and what the country needs. We've just supplied them information on our industry. I think a letter just passed my office this week or last week on this subject. But the government has identified this problem, that there's a mismatch, there's a gap, both on the areas that we teach as well as the quality that we produce and the quality that the market is expecting. But again, I think I'm ill-qualified to go deep into this discussion because there is a Ministry of Higher Education, there's a Ministry of Manpower, who are taking these issues that you have mentioned extremely serious. We are part of this society. We are making contribution into this study and into, of course, into the training. But the human resources fear, expertise that the industry needs in future is a global issue, and we are part of that discussion. We hear, but we are extremely lucky in, I think, in the region as a whole, but particularly in Oman, that the industry still is well respected by the young people who want to study and work in our industry. There are some part of the world where no one or very few wants to work in oil and gas industry, for example. For a number of reasons, we don't have that problem. I think there was one of the presentation, they were looking for 20 technicians, and I think BP mentioned, and they received 700 applicants. So you can see the passion for, and the interest, of course, and the need as well of our young people to work in our industry. So we are lucky. Is there a gap? Yes, there's a gap on what we produce and what the industry needs. But this is, by the way, all over the world. But we intend to do something about it. And the Ministry of Higher Education, Ministry of Manpower has taken both of your points serious. They have recognized that there's a problem, and hopefully something will be done on this.
Yeah, just to add, a lot of work is going through the ICV committee, which is chaired by His Excellency Salam, and the HR subcommittee to work with the Minister of Education, Minister of Manpower, on aligning the vocational training curriculum with the industry needs. Huge effort on that front that is really starting to generate considerable alignment and opportunity. And we have great examples of the initiatives that we recently launched, the 6G welders, extensive training and support for what the industry needs, not today, but over the next 3, 4, 5 years, the future Rabab Hawils, the Yibal Kufs, where we will be developing 400 Omani 6G, highest international specification of welding. No other institution globally does that. So huge alignment between the industry needs and what the Ministry, particularly of Education, is providing at the moment. And I think a great opportunity going forward.
Yeah. Stand up, please. Yes, you will. We have a lot of time left, don't worry.
You should have sat on that side. Change seats. The right side is always priority.
My name is Thomas Strauss with Energy Intelligence. My question is for Mulham, Oman Oil Company. What impact these bribery cases happen? What impact is it having on Oman Oil Company, particularly in light of your own CEO being implicated in the most high-profile case? I mean, do you expect project delays, or are all of the projects under review? Do you expect more oversight? Where is the plan to find a new CEO? Where's what's happening there? And I mean, the argument is that it's only an individual-based thing across the industry. Is that the case at Oman Oil Company, or should we doubt some of the other projects as well?
and just in general with PDO, what added oversight do you expect to be added as a result of some of these cases, also involving PDO and the tendering committee? Anything you can say there? And just one last one to the minister. You had mentioned the state audit several years ago, empowering them to look into some of these cases. But why didn't they find anything, particularly Oman Oil Company, if it was that significant, that large of a case? Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with Mulhan first.
Okay. As His Excellency said, we're all saddened by the events in the industry, and in the particular case of Oman Oil, it's an individual matter, not related to the company. Whether it affects the company operations or not, I think you will see if you notice in the media, just to the contrary. We made investment during these cases in the history of Oman Oil, and probably the largest investment for the Oman government outside Oman. So I can assure you the projects are not affected. Now, in terms of oversight, we have a code of business conduct that's applied across the group, there are various other systems and processes, including state audit, internal audit. We have a risk management framework. But again, what individuals do on their own personal actions is beyond anybody's control, and it's not uncommon for any part of the world to have these things. But as I said, we adhere to the highest standards where we can, but short of policing people and putting bugs on them, I don't think there's anything else we can do.
Yeah, I briefly referred to it earlier. It will not be about introducing more rules. We'll learn to understand perhaps tenure of certain individuals in key positions may have to change, retention of data. But actually, it will be more about, excuse me, engagement.
الاستهلاك المحلي للإنتاج $40.
Potential. We'll be ready to build tomorrow, but what we want to do is ensure that we have a local supply chain of many of the components built in Oman. Once we establish that industry, that supply chain takes a bit longer, but I'm very, very confident that
will be taken from, but if we can bring 2018 or 2017, if we can bring it today, then we will export 80,000 barrels less positively.
His Excellency, Dr. Rumhi, is there any truth to reports that Iran, India, and Qatar and the UAE, as it's been,
will be enough to cater for export to such a project? But there are options of putting another pipeline, for example, and increasing the volume and having a dedicated volume that will go to India.
We would like to thank the organizing team from the Ministry of Oil and Gas and the supporting operators. You are invited to a lunch just outside the hall. Thank you very much all for participating. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.